is a question from Borneo. Steve Drinkwater sent in a question and he wanted it heard. And he just got out of Brisbane. It says, given the fact of global warming and the effect it is having in Canada's Arctic, do you, Mr. Ignatieff, agree that our defense strategy for the future should focus on a strong Arctic-capable Navy to establish and maintain Canadian sovereignty and to enforce compliance to Canadian and international laws? And if so, do you propose to shift defense spending away from the Conservatives' focus on ground attack aircraft, the F-35, which is designed for conflicts in foreign soil without incurring excessive project cancellation fees?
The answer to that question is yes. That was good. That's a great question, and it allows me to just say a few things here. Climate change is changing the literal geography of Canada. It's changing what we're seeing up there. Northwest Passage, everything. We have to have a climate change adaptation strategy, and it's changing our defense policy. That's where the question is going. It's going to change our foreign policy. Why do people fight in sub-Saharan Africa? Because the water's drying out. The soil's blowing away, right? One of the drivers of conflict and strife and death in the world today is climate change. So we have to have a defense policy that understands that. We have to have a foreign policy and an aid policy that reaches out that. Some of the best stories I've heard, the kind of Canada I want is a Canada that's reforesting Mali, making sure that the soil doesn't blow away in Niger, making sure that we can get wells that continue to draw water in Darfur, not as social work, but to prevent these countries from killing each other over battles for water. So that's just one part of the question. Get to the Arctic. The government promised icebreakers. We haven't seen any. They promised search and rescue. We haven't seen any of them. Every summer, Mr. Harper goes up there and stages the world's most expensive photo op. I don't know whether you saw one this summer. It really was my favorite moment in the summer. He was standing on an ice floe, and there was a frogman going over one side. There was an icebreaker behind him. There were two jets going over the top. And he was smiling there in the middle saying, that's my Arctic policy. And you thought there's a couple of things missing here, including the people. Arctic strategy should be based on the people. You don't have sovereignty if you don't have people there to assert and defend the claim. We've got a lot of people up there. They've been there for 50,000 years. You'd think the policy would make some mention of the Inuit peoples of the north, the Dene people, all the people up there, who know far more about the place than people from the south ever will. So you've got to base an Arctic policy on the people. That's something I learned from Don Bell's former colleague, Larry Bagnall, who's a wonderful member of Parliament for the Yukon, a passionate advocate for the North. On the defense side, now we get to the F-35 issue, this is precisely what the issue is. What do we need to protect Canada's northern sovereignty? We need search and rescue, we need Coast Guard, we need icebreakers, right? We need drones, we need the Inuit people who serve on the Rangers. We need to enhance that. I haven't begun to talk about the F-35. The F-35 will take $21 billion out of our ability to meet these other commitments. And I'm coming to the feeling that the F-35, we need to replace the CF-18s. We need to have something that can protect our sovereignty. And let's remember why, because if we don't protect it, we know who will. Be our friends to the south. And no Canadian wants that. So we got to stump up with something. Can't let them do the patrolling of our airspace. But do we need a ground attack super stealth fighter? I don't think so. And one of the reasons I don't think so is that it makes it impossible for us to do the other investments in icebreakers, in search and rescue, in enhancing the ranges, in doing all the other things we need. So thank you for the question.